We get more big-on-big matchups in the Premier League and Serie A. And do we still have a title race in La Liga?
There's a big match between European hopefuls in Germany, and we recap the final match days of the Champions League. All this and more in this episode 41 of the No Business Soccer Podcast. Snooze, kick us off.
Let's dig in. Oh, yeah. Gotta love it. We had a lot going on this week. And of course, it's always a good time whenever we got the UEFA competitions in the house. But before we jump into all that, of course, I am your host, Snooze, and we're here with almost a full family. We got J-Fam, the Brainiac, on the ones and twos today. Danny P, he had to work late, so he's not joining us for a little bit longer. Maybe he'll be here. We'll find out. But we all know who's the fan favorite here. And Hype Man Vic, what you sipping on, dog?
Well, today I got this. It is a beer.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I got it is because, as you know, I'm a cocktail connoisseur. I don't know if that's how you say it. Keep jokes down. But I got it because, one, it's German beer. And then, two, I'm going to turn this into a syrup bottle. So I'm going to make some kind of syrup. But it is a cool little bottle. It actually reminds me of Europe and Germany so much when we went. Just like the lightness of the beer. It's not like
a Helles.
Yeah, delicious stuff.
I don't know if it's a Helles or not, but
I think it's a Pilsner.
Pilsner.
Pilsner. Anyway,
okay.
It's really good, nice and smooth. No hard liquor today. Sorry, everybody. We'll continue to do the regular scheduled drinking.
Yes,
Monday.
Of course. Well, with that said, man, you're making me want to drink now. I just have my water though, and I'm sipping on this right here. Trying to lose this dad bod, bro.
But you're a dad.
One day,
supposed to have it. It's just a bod.
Hey, you know what? That's the best logic I've heard for a dad bod.
I'm the one that has a dad bod without a kid. That's the thing.
Hey, fair enough. One day. But we have a lot to get to. And before we go anywhere, we're going to have to start with the UEFA competitions because there was a lot to discuss, especially in the Champions League. It was amazing. So let's go to the UEFA competitions. And before we jump into the Champions League, I know, I'm going to do it to you. We're going to go first to the Europa League. Vic's probably like, what is the Europa League? Liverpool never played in that.
I understand.
But what I will say is that there was a lot of good matches on and a lot of teams that made it through, kind of the ones that you expected it to. Of course, Spurs, we don't hardly ever see a win from them, and they get a 3-0 win in this one. That was pretty cool. Of course, we also have Roma beating Eintracht Frankfurt, which is the one that I was the most excited to watch. 2-0 for Roma. That's crazy. Eintracht, they've dropped a couple games since Marmoush left, and I'm not saying that's the reason, but I'm not saying it's not the reason. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We also had Lazio, who did their, actually a lot like Liverpool this time around because they are finishing top of the league, top of their respective league, but they lost this last match day. I'm not trying to make a dig at all, I promise you. So yeah, they lose to Braga 1-0. And then the one thing that I do want to call out is, man, I guess I hadn't really been paying attention to the accumulated results for Slavia Prague, but they absolutely sucked in this in this Europa League. I was looking at the table, just kind of, where it all finished out. They finished with 4 straight losses and a draw. So 30th out of 36 of the Europa League team. So, maybe they need to be in the Conference League. Maybe that's a little bit step below this competition. And yeah, but anyway, just to talk about how it finished out in the top 8, it was Lazio first, Athletic Club Bilbao, Manchester United, Tottenham, Eintracht Frankfurt, Lyon, Olympiacos, and Rangers. They're all through to the round of 16. And then I'm not going to read out the next 16 people that be playing to go out. But just know some of the teams that are in the playoffs are Real Sociedad, Galatasaray, Roma, Porto, AZ Alkmaar, Fenerbahce. So going to be some good games going on in there. And the draws do happen tomorrow. So, well, I guess when this comes out, it'll be today. Yeah, it'll be today. Yes. So, I don't know why that fried my brain right there, but yes. Okay, so that's how the Europa League finished up. But let's check out I don't want to say what it was the best day, but maybe it was the best day of how this could have wrapped up for the Champions League. Because even though the Europa League does the 18 matches every single week, like every match day is like that, it was like especially delicious with the Champions League, because I remember you were messaging me like, dude, there's just goals every second. Like it really felt like
awesome.
that, right?
Yeah, it was the first time I watched it on the Golazo show, when it was on Paramount, and it was it's like NFL Red Zone for everybody that's just tuning in on accident because they watch football or clicked on the wrong football. It's like NFL Red Zone, but there were 16 games, right? Is that how many games were?
I think 18 or 18, whatever.
It was
18, 16.
But yeah, just watching just goal after goal and just coming in, and then like you're also keeping up with the table because it has the results on the bottom, and I'm trying to get Liverpool was number one. Yeah, and then you see a game pop up, and maybe it was like Atalanta and Barcelona, where I'll be like, oh my god, Dude, that was
the best. Yeah. It wasn't even like y'all's match was not even, because y'all were losing going into the first half, yeah. So then Atalanta, every time they would score, like the lead would shift, and you just see the table. It's like Barcelona, then Liverpool, then Barcelona, then that was so awesome. The drama was high with that. Very cool. Maybe they should do that like every match day. I don't know.
That's round going forward, right?
That was really cool. The one match that everybody was talking about, though, outside of the dueling first places for Liverpool and Barcelona, was the Manchester City and Club Brugge matchup, where Man City had to win this, and they went down a goal early, and there were some cheeks clinched up in Manchester on the blue side anyway. And man, it was really cool to see how they came back to win that 3-1. And both teams actually ended up going through to the playoff round, so that's going to be cool for them. It's not going to be a fun time for Manchester City, but this is kind of what they created this new format to do, is not have the big matchups only in the knockout round, so you have to wait months and months. You get these matchups right away. And I was looking at the playoff. Oh, I had it up here a second ago and I closed it. But the playoff, let's see. Champions League, the standings. Let's go real quick because it was really cool to see how this played out, and it's probably going to be why they continue this format going in the future. Because of course you have the top 8 is. Go ahead, you can say them.
Me,
Liverpool.
Liverpool. Sorry, Liverpool.
It's like, wait, you don't know? Yeah, but Liverpool. It's Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter, Atletico Madrid, Leverkusen, Lille, and Aston Villa. Those are the top 8, so they're automatically through to the.
Uh-oh. My bad, everyone. I guess I just wanted to stop listening as soon as Snooze was done saying Liverpool, and my camera went out. But we're back. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Jump right into this. Yeah, I was saying that the top 8, so the teams that are directly into the round of 16 in the Champions League, we have, of course, Liverpool first. Then it's Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter, Atleti, Leverkusen, Lille, and Aston Villa. And then, of course, there's all the teams that barely made it, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but they have a playoff to go to those final 8 spots to make up the round of 16. We have some big teams in there, though. Bayern, Milan, Madrid, Dortmund, Atalanta, PSG, PSV. I mean, it's awesome. Man City, of course. So Juve's in there. It's just going to be fun. I don't know. Oh,
Brest.
Yes. How could I forget
about the big Brest team?
I knew it. I knew it was coming. Yes. But these are going to be awesome playoffs. I mean, like I was saying last time, we as Americans, we fundamentally believe in playoffs. And that's what we get, a 2-legged playoff, home and away, to get them into the round of 16. So, yeah, man, this was cool. I don't want to say that this is the superior product yet, because there is a lot of games and a lot of the teams and players, quite frankly, they don't like it because it's just more and more stress on them as players and on their bodies. But, I mean, come on, that 18 game, that was awesome, wasn't it? That was a
lot of fun, yeah.
Maybe they'll do that every week. I don't know. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, real quick, I was watching that with a Barcelona fan and my Juventus fan. I found out how to say it correctly. Don't say the J.
Juventus.
It's Juventus.
Juventus. So there is an S. You just took out the wrong.
At the bottom. Took out the wrong.
You're right. So I was looking at some of the goals too, and of course we were texting during them. But I'm sorry, I got to say it. That PSV goal was nasty. I mean, dude, cut in, had y'all sliding.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I think it was the first. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it was the first. We watched it, and I was in a meeting, and I was like, Come on. My friends were pointing at me.
That was crazy, man. That was awesome to see. But yeah, just a fun time. A lot of good goals, a lot of good games. And okay, now that is it for the UEFA competition recap. We will come back whenever they have the draw. Obviously, we have the European reach around or the European wrap up on Monday, and we'll talk about the draws and the dates and everything then. But until then, we just have kind of speculation or who could be in the bracket against who. So when we have final answers, we'll come back to you. Okay. Now, with that said, the moment we've all been waiting for, we're going to jump into this look ahead. And I think, Vic, we're starting off in Italy.
And we're going to the land of pasta, to Serie A.
And
yes.
Give us a reminder what the table looks like before I start running my mouth.
Yeah. So after match day 22, Napoli are still on top. They have 53 points. 3 points, a full game behind them is Inter Milan, and Inter Milan has a game in hand still. They have 50 points. In the third spot is Atalanta, who helped us out, Liverpool, in the Champions League. Appreciate it. But in Serie A, they're in the third spot with 46 points, 4 points behind Inter Milan. And 7 points behind them is Lazio, our Lazio, with 39 points. A lot of parity starting to happen at those top spots, going to make it harder to win this Serie A. But, still some good football to be played, and we will see what happens. Just tickling the top 4 is Juventus. They have 37 points in the 5th spot. And all the way in the bottom of the table, we welcome Lecce again to the bottom of the table. If the season ended today, they would be relegated. They have 20 points in the 18th spot. Venezia keeps their badge, but also keep in relegation. They have 16 points in the 19th spot. And holding up the rest of the table with 13 points is Monza. All 3 would be gone if the season ended today. But let's talk about the matchups coming up, man. This is going to be a pretty good weekend, I think.
Yes, sir. And especially in the Serie A, we've been having big on bigs, as I like to call them, for a while. But Friday, we have a relegation scrap between Parma and Lecce. Both teams come into this match on pretty bad form, but on the same points and only separated by their goal differential. So, in fact, 3 points for either side could swing them up to the middle spots, and that's or multiple spots. Sorry. And so that's kind of what we're looking at here. Of course, this isn't every time I say that they're going to go for it, they always draw or something like that. So I don't want to say that this time. I'm not giving it that curse, but I will say that 3 points go a lot longer in this table than it does in some of the other leagues. On Saturday, we have mid-table Udinese taking on 19th Venezia. Neither team has won in the last 5 Serie A matches, and if Venezia could get 3 points here, it would be huge, as bottom to mid-table is pretty congested right now in Serie A, as Vic was just saying. And another relegation scrap, this time 17th Verona go on the road to take on bottom of the table Monza. Verona haven't won in 4 Serie A matches, and if they can't get 3 points from Monza, they'll be in trouble. Torino and Atalanta is my sleeper pick for the Serie A match week. Torino are unbeaten in their last 9 matches, and Atalanta have won only once in their last 5 Serie A matches. It could be a good time for Torino to nick a point here, but HCL will look to build off their win over Como last time out. Speaking of Como, they are on the road at Bologna. Bologna are desperate to get points here as they can feel the European places starting to slip through their fingers. Como aren't in a relegation battle, but aren't that far away from it, so they'll definitely be pedal to metal. Sunday, we get 5th place Juventus. Is that
Juventus?
Right? Oh, Juventus.
Juventus.
Yeah. Juventus. They look to rebound from their loss to Napoli last time out, and they get a home date with Empoli. Empoli haven't won in 8 matches and can't afford to drop too many points if they're going to stay out of that relegation scrap. Fiorentina finally got a league win last time out against Lazio, and they get Genoa at home this time. Genoa have won 3 of their last 5 matches, are in pretty decent form of their own. This should be good, but the Viola have to win if they want to stay relevant in the European places. And it's another big on big as we get the last Milan derby, I don't know why that was so hard to say, of the season, as far as in the league at least, and we'll dig more in a second. We also get Roma versus Napoli at home, and both teams are hitting their stride. We'll dig more into that one in a second. And Monday, the final match of the match week, or match day, Lazio traveled to Cagliari this week, and believe it or not, in the last 5 Serie A matches, Cagliari have more wins than Lazio, which are Lazio, man. They've struggled big time. And this doesn't mean that they'll win in this one, but it does mean that they aren't going down without a fight. Okay, that's what we have to talk about. Now let's dig into a couple of the matches that we are watching this weekend. And we're going to start off with Napoli versus Roma. Napoli are top of the league. They have won 7 straight matches. They have the best defense in the league, and they've allowed the fewest goals in the league. They're banging in goals for fun at the moment, and they'll be tough to beat. But they take on a resurgent Roma team who have found their feet under Claudio Ranieri. They've won 4 of their last 6 Serie A matches and seem to kind of figure out whatever was happening and causing them troubles earlier this season. They've now climbed out of the lower mid-table to get themselves into 9th and 6 points out from the 6th place Fiorentina. And our Fiorentina, they get some more wins there. And they're in a good spot coming out of this match where they aren't expected to really get a result. So they're playing free. They're playing with house money, and that's always a good spot to be in when you're going into these big matches. But Napoli at this point are battle-tested and used to the pressure that Inter are putting on them. And I just don't see Napoli slipping up here. And even though they're on the road, they went to Bergamo and got 3 points off of Atalanta, and it really impressed me. So I think Roma will give them a fight, but I think Napoli end up they'll end up winning. And of course, Lukaku saves the day, right? For Danny P. He's always out there. So,
of course.
Vic, you see it Napoli as well?
I do see it Napoli. The last 6 games, neither team have lost, but Roma has at least drew for I think a couple of those games. 2 games. 2 of those games. Napoli have gotten the win. So I'm just going to have Napoli win it. I think 2-1. We'll do 2-1.
That's one of the best stats, right? Like if you're winning a lot and the other team is not, like,
yeah,
that's cool. Being unbeaten is cool, but being unbeaten with wins is even better.
It's all the difference.
Okay. Well, we're talking about the next match, and that is the Milan derby, the battle for Milan. That is Milan versus Inter. And we've already been blessed with this matchup twice already. Once in the league back at the end of September, and then just earlier this month in the Supercopa final. Both times Milan won, and both times the matches were fun AF, as the kids say. We will get another banger here, won't we? I'm assuming we will. But Inter coming to this match with the better league form, but that was true the last time as well, and it just didn't matter. It took a lot. I looked a lot at the recent history of this derby, and prior to this season's 2 wins for Milan, Inter had won 6 straight, including 2 legs of the Champions League semifinals last season. So they've obviously had a dominance in this one up until recently. And we could discuss the form and the results and the recent results that they've had, honestly, but it's a derby. And, I don't think there's, here I have a note. There hasn't been a draw in this match since March of 2022. So more than likely they're coming out swinging and someone's going to win it. And everything goes into derby. And I would put my money on Inter this time around just because the stakes are higher for them. As they're trying to keep pace with Napoli at the top of the table. Plus, they haven't lost 3 straight Milan derbies since 2010, 2011. So, yeah, let's effing go. I can't wait for this one. This one's going to be fun. Vic, who you got, though?
You know what? I'm going to go AC Milan on this one. I think the Americans going to help us out, and they have more to play for. If they get a win, they get into those European spots. They take over with Juventus. Hopefully, if Juventus gets another loss. But they're trying to get in some kind of European spot. I think Inter Milan are just getting comfortable up there, and
okay.
I think the Americans help sneak one out for this one, and I'm gonna go 2-0. It's gonna be 2-0.
Oh wow! All right. AC. If I was picking a score, I would definitely say probably 2-1, maybe something like that. Like both teams are scoring for sure. So yeah, I'd say 2-1 Inter. Like I was saying, they hadn't lost 3 straight matches since the 2010-2011 season, so. It's going to be tough to get that done, but, Milan, if there's one thing they've shown, they can beat Inter. They've shown it a few times this season already. I just held back a sneeze for y'all. You're welcome, because that would have been loud. And, big hype man. He hates.
Yeah, we got to get more followers before they find out how you sneeze.
They drop out. Yeah, I know. Okay. Well, that is it for Serie A. Let's move on to Spain, Vic.
Let's go to La Liga. That was kind of delayed for me, so I didn't really know. Well, still there.
Right. You got it. You got it.
Yeah, we're good. Okay,
killed it.
We're cool.
Hey, give us a reminder of what the table looks like.
Yes, let's do it. So the Madrids are still on top. Real Madrid have 49 points. Sorry. Followed right behind them is Atletico Madrid in the second spot with 45 points, 4-point differential there. 3 points behind them is Barcelona with 42 points, hoping to get back in form. They did get just another win, but they only have one win in the last 5 matches. And Atletico Bilbao, as I still call them, or Bilbao, have 40 points, rounding out the top 4 and tickling the top 4, but kind of from far away is Villarreal with 34 points. They are a clear 6 points behind Bilbao and hoping to make up some ground there. And if we look at the bottom of the table, you'll find Espanyol. They actually have 20 points in the 18th spot, followed by Valencia with 16 points. And then holy guacamole, my Voli Dolies, Real Valladolid still hold up the table in the 20th spot with 15 points here. And I think we only have like one match in this one, but tell us a little bit about La Liga this weekend. Snooze.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's not a lot of high stake matchups in this one, but we're going to talk about all of them here. That's what we do on the No Business Soccer Podcast. That's why you come to us. And we're going to start off with Friday's matchup. Sees Leganés look to keep adding to their scalp collection as they take on Rayo Vallecano at home. Both teams are in pretty good form, and Rayo are tickling the European places, as Vic would say. Another result for them, and they're busting down that door. This is a sleeper match for me. I'm looking forward to this one a lot. Saturday, we get Getafe, and they've been feeling themselves lately, coming off the back of that 3-0 win over Real Sociedad, and they get Sevilla up next. In other years, or in years past, as you can say, this would be a tough matchup on paper, but Sevilla currently sit in 12th with only 2 wins in their last 5 matches. They just haven't been their old selves this season. Villarreal missed out on 3 points against Atleti, but they take on bottom of the table Volidoli, Vix Valladolid. They've lost 2 straight, and by a combined 5 goals against and 1 goal for. So they're not in good form right now. But Villarreal have the worst goal against in the top half of the table. So maybe, just maybe, there's a chance because Valladolid have a lot to play for, man. They're trying to stay up. It's 2nd against 6 when Mallorca traveled to Madrid to take on Atleti. Both teams have dropped points in their last 2 matches, but Mallorca have lost 3 of their last 5. It's hard to see them getting back on track, but we'll talk more about this one here in a moment. And an inspired Espanyol side welcome Real Madrid. And I don't know how much analysis you can spend on this to try and find a way that Espanyol can get a point from Madrid, Real Madrid. But, it's a crazy sport. Maybe it can happen. We'll find out. And then on Sunday, Barca beat up on relegation-threatened Valencia last time out. And this weekend, they get a chance to keep the good vibes going against another relegation candidate in Alaves. Alaves, yes, not Alaves. Valencia get Celta Vigo at the Mestalla, and anything but 3 points for them. And this one is bad news as they are running out of time. Celta have only won once in 5 matches, and they'll like their odds of getting points here from struggling Valencia. But Valencia, man, they have got to go. Something's got to give when struggling Osasuna takes on equally as struggling Real Sociedad. Both teams have been in horrible form lately as they've combined for 1 win in their last 10 matches combined. Betis welcome Bilbao to town in what should be a fun matchup. Betis have kind of showed us by this point that they're a mid-table team this year. But Bilbao are looking to get into the Champions League for only their 3rd time ever and the first time since 2014-2015, which is just crazy, and they're very close. Monday, we have Girona taking on Las Palmas, where both teams are trying to get back to winning ways. Las Palmas' recent dip in form has caused them to creep closer to the relegation battle, while Girona are also stickling. They're still tickling, is what I was trying to say. Those European spots, as Vic says. So a lot to play for them. But, of course, the match that we are all going to be talking about this weekend, the match that we're going to be watching in the No Business Soccer Podcast, is Atletico Madrid versus Mallorca. And, we gave Mallorca their flowers back in October, and Vic would say, no, we didn't. You did. Yes. So I gave them their flowers back in October for how they had got themselves just outside the European places by that point. And let's not forget, the past 3 seasons, they've finished 16th, 9th, and 15th last season. So them being just in 6th right now is rare for them. And one of the things that I found for why they have been so successful this season is that they live by the sword, die by the sword, as they have they're tied for the least amount of draws in La Liga. And now the goals for, the goals against, other stats, they're not really on their side. But whenever they go for it, they get results, and it's typically 3 points. They don't settle for 1. And I don't know if that's sustainable, but they have a good opportunity here because although they've lost back-to-back matches, they're facing an Atletico Madrid side who have also dropped points in back-to-back matches. And they're still obviously they were at the top of the table. They've kind of dropped off since then. But I personally don't think Atletico lose this one. But this match ended 1-0 to Atleti last time out, and that was on Atleti's ridiculous run. So they were killing it at the time, and they only won 1-0. So maybe a little more luck for Mallorca, and they can get something from this matchup. But I don't think so. Vic, what do you think?
I am not sure. This one's going to be a little bit rough. I'm going to go with Mallorca because my favorite color is red. It's going to be that close. I don't know. It's a toss-up for me. Yeah.
Okay. I think Atletico Madrid, they've, if this was still on their run that they had maybe just a couple weeks ago, then we wouldn't even be talking about it. It'd be like, of course, they're on the 17, 18 game win streak by now if they wouldn't have lost to Leganes. But there's something in the water in the league. They're killing it in the Champions League. They're doing great, but for some reason they struggle in these games. And they have not like they've been struggling all season, but they've struggled recently. So it's hard to say. I don't see Mallorca getting a point from this, but if they do, that'd be a big, big win for them.
Yeah,
and it's a good story.
Yeah, sorry, and I will clarify that. Just because Atleti has not been looking great and Mallorca has not been looking great either. Actually, the past 6 games, nobody in La Liga has more than a 2-game losing streak, and I just think that Mallorca would not break that either. Pretty crazy to think of. So there are a couple draws and stuff in there, but we'll see what happens. And I don't know, maybe Atleti's getting a little too comfortable up there as well. So
okay, all right. You think people are squatting on their spot, as they say?
Think so. There's some parity up there. They're 4 points behind Real, and then they're 3 points ahead of Barcelona. So I don't think they lose a place either way, unless it's a pretty big difference. Oh, wait, actually, Barcelona has a pretty big point differential, but they could lose a space there, but they're still top 3 guaranteed. So
okay. Well, let's see how that one plays out. And that's the match we're watching in La Liga. And I think it is time to move on to, you're just talking about them, where you want your beer from. So let's go to Germany, sir.
Let's do it. To Bundesliga. Oh, we have to pause.
Yeah. What are you laughing at over there? What's that smirk for?
The producers had initially told us that we had to pause, but then whenever I said, "Hey, we have to pause," they were like, "No, we don't." Like, all right, let's keep going then. So
those damn producers.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that said, before I jump into mine, let's see what the table looks like.
Yes,
give a refresher,
Yes. So Bayern Munich are still on top. They have 48 points, starting to run away with it with a 6-point differential. 6 points ahead of Bayer Leverkusen, never losing Leverkusen. Leverkusen are in the second spot with 42 points. Behind them, 5 points behind them, is Eintracht Frankfurt with 37 points. And then another 5 points behind them is Stuttgart with 32 points. They are in the 4th spot, and RB Leipzig has 32 points as well, tickling the top 4, as we say, in the 5th spot. But taking a look at the bottom of the table, Holstein Kiel hold the 17th spot with 12 points. They would be out of the league if the season ended today, as well as boy, oh boy, Bochum. They have 10 points, who were looking in pretty good form recently. Out of those 10 points, 8 came within the last 6 games. So they've kind of turned around, but begin the losing streak again. But snooze, Mainz and Werder Bremen are 4 points away from each other. They're both fighting for European spots, and they kick off this weekend. Tell us more about this weekend in the matchups.
Oh, look at you, professional and everything. Golly. But yes, we have Friday. We kick it off with Mainz, and they stopped their skid of back-to-back losses last time out when they beat Stuttgart, and now they get a road trip to take on Werder Bremen. Bremen have only won once in the last 5 Bundesliga matches, but they're no pushovers. They've been a good team. Saturday, we get a fun one when Augsburg go on the road to face St. Pauli. St. Pauli have won back-to-back matches, and Augsburg have won 3 straight. If St. Pauli can get 3 points here, though, they can start thinking more about a mid-table finish at the end of the season instead of a relegation battle, while Augsburg could tickle the European spots, as Vic says, with a win. So, man, both teams in form, both teams going for it. They play fairly, I want to say fairly attractive, but is that a weird way to put that? You know what I'm saying, though. It's fun to watch. So, yeah, good. That's a sleeper one for me. Top of the table, Bayern welcomes second bottom, as they say, Kiel to Munich. Bayern have won 5 straight Bundesliga matches and don't look like they'll be dropping points in the league anytime soon, but Kiel are so close to pushing out of the Bundesliga depths, and they'll be trying their hardest. Bottom of the table, Bochum get middle table, Freiburg. Coming into this one, Bochum actually have more wins in the last three Bundesliga matches than Freiburg, as they have lost 3 straight, which is insane. Bochum might be getting Freiburg at the right time. We'll find out. Stuttgart get a home date with Gladbach, and we'll talk more about that one in here in a second. We also have Dortmund at Heidenheim, and it sees 2 teams in a free fall go head-to-head. Both teams have only won once in the last 5 Bundesliga matches, and it's hard to tell who needs this one more. Probably Dortmund, but Heidenheim are going down if they don't win. So, yeah, it's hard to say. Leipzig look to get back in the win column as they take on Union Berlin, who are currently 14th in the Bundesliga table. Union have been terrible lately, and if Leipzig can't get 3 points here, then they aren't ready for Europe. Honestly, if they can't do it, they aren't ready. Sunday, it's 3rd versus 7th as Eintracht Frankfurt gets Wolfsburg. We'll talk about that one here in a second. And then we also get Leverkusen, and they get Hoffenheim at home after drawing with Leipzig in the last match day. Hoffenheim are still fighting the relegation battle, but they picked up 4 points from the last 2 matches and will look to keep the good vibes going. But Leverkusen can't drop points anymore if they're going to keep pace with Bayern at the top of the table. It just seems like Bayern's going to be really hard to catch. Okay, with that said, we're going to jump into some of the matches that we were watching like we alluded to earlier. And first up, we have Gladbach versus Stuttgart. And a loss to Mainz last time out leaves Stuttgart hanging on to that 4th spot, only thanks to goal differential, as Vic was showing us a little earlier. And now they get Gladbach, who've lost 3 of their last 5 matches, but are coming off a 3-0 win against Bochum. And while Stuttgart have a very tense and important Champions League matchup coming up, well, they lost actually. I can say that they comfortably lost 3-0 to PSG. So it was pretty tense, but not for long. But you wonder if they could be drained by the time this match comes around on Saturday. And it's always the intangibles that make this sport fun. So sometimes it can be unpredictable, and they didn't win to PSG, so maybe they were able to get a little bit of rest in. We'll see. But this one, I think it could be a little bit more predictable if Gladbach had slipped up against Bochum. But the fact that they didn't, and they kind of got their groove back, I guess is a good way to put that. But prior to that 3-0 win, they had lost 3 straight with 2 goals for and 9 goals against. So they weren't in a good run of form. So, of course, seeing that in hindsight, they beat a team that's already, I don't want to say on their way out, but kind of looks like it. 3-0. Maybe that's not a big reason. But, if you're looking at the 3 games they lost, it was 3 games straight that they lost. That was against Leverkusen, Bayern, and Wolfsburg. So 3 top teams, at least 2 top teams, and Wolfsburg's kind of up there. But Stuttgart fancy themselves as a top dog as well, so we'll see how this one goes. I don't know. Obviously, I'm leaning Stuttgart for a win here, but I think it comes down to it. Gladbach would be okay with the point, honestly. So, if it comes down to, pushing yourself or kind of sitting back and getting that draw, I think it could be a draw.
Not even going to lie, I was going to go with a draw as well. The only reason why is because Stuttgart, they have only one more win than Gladbach, but Gladbach just doesn't tie. It doesn't draw much. They're 8 wins, 3 draws, 8 losses. So it's either usually win or lose for them, but Stuttgart only has 2 more draws than them. 5 points separate these teams, and they're both fighting for some European love for the next season. I think it's just going to be another draw. Hopefully, we'll see, though. I don't know. It's going to be a fun match, though. I think it's going to be a fun match.
Stuttgart got knocked out of the Champions League, so their hearts are broken a little bit. You know
they're
what I mean?
Pissed.
Or it could go that way. They're pissed that way. Yeah, they're pissed.
Yeah,
we'll see. I don't think either team will they don't have the enough strength to get that 3 points, in my opinion. I think they're both going to be fighting for that draw, but we'll see. If we put money on it, we'll see what happens. So, it's weird though that you can betting on soccer, you can bet for the draw, and then that's a weird thing to go for. Could you imagine doing that in other sports? Oh man, I hope that both teams just draw.
No.
But I digress. Let's talk about the next match: Eintracht versus Wolfsburg. And we have Frankfurt shockingly dropping points last match day against Hoffenheim. So they'll be looking to get back on track. And then we just talked about a second ago, they lost 2-0 to Roma in the Europa League. So they're definitely on the spiral without Marmouche. And while Wolfsburg are looking to stop a skid of their own as they drop points to Kiel last weekend, it kind of feels like the teams at the higher end of the Bundesliga table are still knocking off the dust from the winter break, honestly. But both teams are fighting for Europe, and Frankfurt are in great position to be back in the Champions League if they can get hot. Wolfsburg with a win can start looking at Mainz and Leipzig above them in the table, who have both dropped plenty of points recently, and start thinking that they can catch them. And especially with Dortmund in a free fall for this year, at least, it's basically opened up a European place in the Bundesliga that hasn't happened, hasn't been there for many years. And so Wolfsburg might be thinking, why not us? Because Eintracht are pretty far up there. So this one will be fun if two teams that are hopefuls for Europe, Vic. Who do you think gets it?
I'm going to go Frankfurt on this one. I think they just have more to play for. They are 5 points behind Never Losing Leverkusen and a full 11 points behind Bayern Munich. I think they're out of the Champions League. They're going to focus on the Bundesliga and put everything towards that. And I think pedal to the metal. But we'll see. I'm going Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yeah, I think that the fact
3-1.
that they...
Sorry.
My bad.
3-1 in there. I was thinking. Sorry, it takes a while for me to think. My bad.
No. You're like, what are we going to get? No, it's all good. I think that, yes, with Eintracht trying to fight for those European places as far as like higher up this time, being in that Champions League, there should be a lot more for them involved anyways. Wolfsburg, I can't even remember the last time they were in the Champions League, but I do feel that Eintracht gets a win here. Especially they need to prove that they can do it without Marmoush because it's 2 straight losses since he's been gone. And I'm going to go for probably like a 3-1 Eintracht over Wolfsburg. High scoring game because I just see some goals in this one. Okay.
Agreed.
We have. Wait, did you say 3-1 too?
Yeah, I said 3-1.
Yeah. I just blocked out and I was like, wait a minute. He said
we're here. We're here. It's all right. We're here.
Wow.
We don't even got to know. We're here.
I know, right? It's going to be way different and we're both going to look dumb. So,
yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on to England.
Let's do it. On to the Prem. So like
yes,
marching band. Yeah.
Do they do marching bands in England?
I don't know, but
I don't know either.
It's pretty cool.
Hey, let us know in the comments. I don't know. We've never been to any. I was to say high school games, but they don't even have high. Wow. Well, look at me. I'm just showing that I don't know anything about the British culture. One day I will, though. One day. I know they don't have cheerleaders, though, right? That's a thing.
No.
They don't have cheerleaders. They don't have Cowboys.
No, it's too cold and rainy and gross to be on the sideline. All happy.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
That's why I'm never mad whenever someone wants to leave. They want to leave the Prem for like Spain or something like that. Because I'm like, dude, the weather's way better.
Terrible.
You know what I mean? Okay. But before we jump into these matches, Vic, give us a reminder of what the table looks like.
Yeah, let's do it. The one and only Liverpool Reds are on top. They have 53 points in the number 1 spot, still with a game in hand, which they will play against Everton on the 12th, I believe. Not snooze. Danny P and I have the day off. We're going to go watch that match somewhere. In the second spot behind them is Arsenal, 6 points behind with 47 points. In the second spot behind them is Nottingham Forest with 44 points, 3 points behind Arsenal. And then welcome back, as much as it pains me to say it, Manchester City to the top 4 and the Champions League spots. They have 41 points, tied with Newcastle United in the 5th spot. Also have 41 points, but Manchester City have a 17 goal differential as opposed to Newcastle's 14. And taking a look at the bottom of the table, teams that would be out of the league if the season ended today would be Wolverhampton Wanderers. They have 16 points in the 18th spot. Tied with them is Ipswich Town with 16 points as well in the 19th spot. And man, Southampton, 10 points behind them, 6 measly points in the 20th spot, holding up the rest of the table. Not looking good, but
I think they're doing they're probably the worst team in Europe
terrible.
right now, right?
Yeah.
Or like in the top leagues anyways. You know what I mean? Like 6 points is the worst in their respective league for sure.
Yes,
that's insane.
It's not good. I sometimes still, whenever I take that screenshot, I'm like, is that right? Like, is that actually 6? Yes, it is 6. Jeez, they still haven't won. Yeah.
They're so bad. Spurs have beat them. You know what I mean? That's how bad.
Yeah, that's how
sorry.
That's how bad it's getting. But anyway, Nottingham Forest have a good test with Brighton and Hove Albion, or just Brighton, against a Brighton team that might be just a little bit pissed from that last Everton game. And they open up the weekend. Snooze, tell us about these weekend matchups.
Yes, they are a little pissed. And it's funny because I was looking at, I do my research and I'm reading articles, stuff like that to get prepped for the show. And I saw one article. I haven't read it yet. I saved it though. And it was like, should players get yellow carded for doing a seagull celebration? obviously being smartasses, but
Yeah,
that was just hilarious. Like,
yeah, that was
I
funny.
mean, it was excessive celebration. Like, what is this? The NFL? What's going on?
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, let's get into it. Forest take on Brighton at home this weekend, Saturday morning, and both teams come into this match having lost last time out. Brighton in a high drama match with Everton, as Vic was just alluding to, but Forest were dominated 5-0 against Bournemouth. So, I mean, it might not be high drama, but you got your butts kicked. So, Forest got to get back on track here. They were the surprise team of the season, and then that 5-0 against Bournemouth happened. But we'll talk about more about Bournemouth in a second, baby. We'll talk about that. I'm excited for the matches this week. Newcastle bounced back last weekend against Southampton, and they welcome Fulham to St. James's Park. Fulham have only won once in the last 5 Premier League matches, so Newcastle will take their chances of chances of taking 3 points here. Oh my God. Let's do better this time. I know, right? Everton have won back-to-back matches and started to build a points gap to the drop zone, and they get a massive chance to build on that gap as they get 17th Leicester. Leicester did beat Spurs last time out, though, I have to say, but, the Moisaya can keep it up. I think so, but can he is the real question that everyone else is asking. We'll find out. I think so. Then it's bottom of the table Southampton. At second bottom, as they say, Ipswich. Now, typically, this would be a massive 6-point match, but as we just discussed, Southampton have been so terrible that even if they were to win, they still don't change their season much. I mean, they're down so many points that, 3 points does help, but come on, they're pretty much going down. And then the match that we'll be talking about here more in a second, Liverpool go on the road to the oh-so-hot Bournemouth. And we'll get your take here in a second on that too, Vic. Wolves are sitting in 18th in the table, and they get Aston Villa in 8th at Molineux. Villa have cooled off a bit lately, but they're still having a great season, and you'd expect them to stop their back-to-back draws here against Wolves. On Sunday, we get Crystal Palace go into Old Trafford to take on Manchester United. Amorim's men got a result against Fulham last time out, but before losing to Brentford, they got a result against Fulham last time out, but before losing to Brentford last match, Palace had been in really good form of their own. So, yeah, Palace aren't a team that you want to mess around with. Yes, they lost last time, but they'll be all right. 2 points separate them in the table, and so they'll be fighting it out. The great North London collapse continues as Spurs travel to Brentford. The Bees are a tough mid-table team, and Spurs are seriously staring at a relegation battle. It's insane. For the rest of the season, they have to win virtually all of them just to get back to mid-table. This is so stupid. But this one will be interesting because Spurs, they can't even field 11 fully healthy senior players right now. Like, the bench is full of their academy prospects and all kinds of guys. Anyway, I'll stop.
Gotta be tough. I
know. It's an English big on big. It's second against fourth. It's Arsenal versus Manchester City, and we'll talk more about that one in a second. And then on Monday, we get London Derby as West Ham travel to Chelsea. West Ham are having just as bad a season as Spurs are, but they're hoping new boss Graham Potter can get things turned around here soon. And Chelsea, they're tough this season. They're probably not going to lay down for this one. Of course, in these London derbies, it's always a big deal. Okay, let's jump into them because we got some good ones here in the Prem. We'll start off with City versus Arsenal. And for all the talk from Arsenal fans about how bad things are and how they're just miserable this season, maybe it's only because they're realizing that the title is almost out of reach. I mean, that's probably the only thing I think of because they've been really good all season. And in fact, they've only lost twice in their last 20 matches in all competitions. And those were in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. The issue is they've drawn a lot. That's really what we're talking about here. Their 8 Premier League draws is more than all the teams in the top 8 of the table. And they're still sitting in second. And now they welcome City to the Emirates. So yeah, there's a little bit of pressure on this match. But City, in the Prem at least, have found their way. They've won 4 of 5, and in those 5 matches, they have 17 goals for and 4 goals against. Golly, it's probably too little too late for them to catch Liverpool, but they definitely would love to get back all the way up into second and to pass up Arsenal after the entire league was just pretty much dunking on them the entire time they were collapsing. These matches are always fun, though. They're high energy, they're entertaining, and, of course, we'll be watching. And, Vic, I'm pretty sure you're not going to go City, but tell me who you go.
I'm going for the Meteorite. That's what I'm going for. This is along the lines of the Chiefs and Eagles playing for me for the Super Bowl. But My gut has to go with Manchester City. Marmoush looks like he's fitting in pretty damn well there. And I think they only go up from here. Will they catch Liverpool in the race? No, I don't think so. I think they have enough to take out Arsenal, though. And I think
so too.
This might be a Marmoush coming out party. Who knows? Let's do 4-1. 4-1.
Damn. Yeah. Okay.
If they're serious.
I was going 2-1. I was going 2-1 City over Arsenal. But yeah, Marmoush, it's cool. Like I was saying last time, it's just cool to follow his season with Eintracht for so long, and then him going over here. I mean, probably not cool for you, but it's cool for me. Spurs, we're a relegation battle, baby. We're not even worried about the top of the table. I don't even know what's going on. So, oh man. Okay, well let's stop dilly-dallying. Let's talk about the match of the weekend in the Prem. It is Bournemouth versus Liverpool. Liverpool are back to winning ways with back-to-back wins after a couple of draws, and they haven't lost too much of their gap to Arsenal in second in the table. And they have 14 goals for and 4 goals against in their last 5 games, which is crazy. We just talked about City doing it a second ago. Liverpool, we're not even surprised by it anymore. It's just what they do. They score a lot, and they don't get scored on. But they still have only lost once in the league. Don't forget that. That's crazy, right? Like that many goals and only lost once in the league and all this stuff. And I know now that Vic is rock hard, we're going to have to move it along to something else here because they get a road trip to Bournemouth. And Bournemouth are unbeaten in 12 matches in all competitions, and they've won 3 of the last 5 matches. And get this, they have 14 goals for and 5 goals against of their own. So only 1 goal more allowed, but the same goals scored. So that's crazy for a Bournemouth team. I don't think of them as a team that scores a lot like that, but that's crazy. And this is an unbelievable form for a team that have never finished higher than 12th in the Prem. And what a statement this club could make if they get points off of Liverpool in this one. I don't know if I can see it happening, but the Cherries have beaten Forest, Newcastle, and drawn with Chelsea in the last 3 matches. So they're starting to get battle-tested. And those are some top-level clubs, at least this season. We know Forest is new to the top, but either way, they're tough this season. But Vic, tell me that I'm crazy for even thinking that Liverpool could drop points in this.
I don't know, man. I would feel a lot worse if we played our starters in the Champions League this past week, but Diaz didn't play. Salah didn't play. We rested our starters. Gakpo, yeah, you gotta go. You gotta play.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you gotta go. But I would feel a lot worse if we had played our starters. We didn't play our starters. We got some good rest, and we're going pretty healthily into this Bournemouth match. I think we pull it out, and I would say probably either if not 1-0, 2-1 or something like that. We should keep them down. There are 2 pretty good defenses that we have here, and I think we could just hold them off for enough time. 2-1.
My heart says, it'd be really cool if Bournemouth can get some points from this one if they draw. But I just don't know, man. I don't see Liverpool slipping up too much more. Of course, losing in the Champions League, but they don't have their starters in. It's kind of hard to say. But I'll just say maybe we get like a 2-2 draw, 3-3 draw. That's what my heart says. Okay, we'll see. Mm-hmm. And honestly, there's such a gap in the top of the table that I don't think that Liverpool are losing it anyway. And Arsenal are playing City, so maybe there's no big deal, right? You get a point, you don't get 3, but you get a point. Arsenal are not getting points, so yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be a fun match anyway. I should be back at BD Riley's though. I haven't gone in quite a while.
Oh, okay.
If anybody's there at BD Riley's in Austin, Mueller area,
get come your boy up.
I'll look exactly like this. 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Central.
9 a.m. on Saturday. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, this one's exactly like fun. This is what I'm going to be wearing. So come say hi.
This is right here. Look at this. This is what you're going to go for. Okay. We're hitting the hour mark soon. So let's get out of here. Vic, thanks to everybody for tuning in.
Yes, all right. I do
take us home, Vic.
Yeah, I do thank everybody for tuning in and spending some time with us and talking about what we have coming up this weekend and the Champions League, what just happened. Let us know what you guys think is going to happen this weekend down below in the comments. We want to interact with you guys, and be sure to follow us all on all of our social medias. Everything is at No Business Soccer Podcast except for X and TikTok while it's still around. That is at No Biz Soc Pod. Everybody enjoy the football this weekend, and we will talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.